For all the latest news in North Central Washington, go to ncwlife.com or find us on Facebook. Got a news tip? Email us at news@ncwlife.com or call 888-2020.
I finished the Moab, Utah, and northern Colorado leg of the trip. For the last days of the tour, I slowed my work pace considerably. I even stopped for ice cream after seeing it advertised for at least 20 miles of a Wyoming highway. Next, I stopped in Park City, Utah. But I actually need to back up a bit for this story, because it began in Redding, California, where I visited Madera Manana Warehouse.
This is why you always watch where you're going, because sometimes stuff falls.
Like that? Jerry and I met as teenagers. We lost touch but reunited through Facebook about 10 years ago. His story spans the country, actually several countries, but we'll start here for now.
So the majority of the wood is harvested in Costa Rica, in Guanacaste region of Costa Rica, and that's where I was living for the last 7 years. I have a couple teak farms there, and a lot of this wood is just wood that's found in creeks, have fallen behind people's houses. That's kind of how it started. I saw a big old giant tree, I mean big tree, that fell behind this guy's house, probably scared him to death. And they had cut it in half and cut a few giant cookies out of it, and I said, man, I want that as my table. And that's kind of how it started. And then the guy I bought the cookies from, he said, well, I got some more that have fallen if you want those. And then here we are.
While most of the teak wood that Jerry harvests comes from fallen trees on neighboring properties, he also harvests from his teakwood farm, always with the environment in mind. This year alone, his teakwood farm has planted over 10,000 trees. So I see tags on some of the wood. What do those tags represent?
So essentially, the tags are just, it's the inventory system. So we went through and, you know, all 3,000 pieces of wood and measured each one, how long it was, how wide. And then that gives me an idea of, you know, if someone says, I want continuous grains throughout my whole house made out of the same tree, I know, you know, those 10 slabs over there, or those over there are all going to match up in someone's house.
So you take the wood and you want to make sure you bring it all, and then you don't necessarily probably know what you're going to do with it.
No, that was the good thing about it is, and I think that was the difference between having an artist's eye opposed to just a, you know, a dimensional lumber eye, or somebody who only makes a certain style of something. Because when I look at some of this wood, especially in nature, when it's still a tree, it looks like different things to me, it looks like different things to other people. And so when it gets cut, you know, some of the stuff that we've found, they look like people. We call them the aliens. You know, they show up in the warehouse. Other things we make wall art out of. One of the artists that I work with, she does mountainscapes on the lumber that we can't make into furniture, and so each piece has its own voice. And so some of it finds its way on walls. Some of it is turned into lamps, you know, so it's not just tables and desks and stuff. So it's been fun to you know, keep the creative process going, even though, you know, it's just a piece of wood. You know, it's beautiful art to somebody. When you live in another country, you make your way out of your comfort zone, because it's not the same. You know, in America, there's a lot of conveniences that we don't really think about when we live here. And then when you move outside of the country, let alone your town that you grew up in, things are different, and people speak a different language, and business moves slower, people move slower. And so doing something like this was kind of my way back into kind of using my brain again and being creative again after taking time off and just kind of atrophying a little bit. And so it taught me, okay, I got to be more patient again, because when you try to speed things through into a different country with a different, you know, export system and all of that, you're just like, oh wow, this is going to take a long time. And something that I thought should take, you know, 3 months took 3 years. And so in the meantime, the belief system starts coming back, and your value system starts coming back, and okay, is this going to drive me crazy, or am I just going to let it go because I don't have any control over it? So I have to be happy in my life, and when the doors open, I have to be ready to walk through them. And so it was once again an incredible learning experience that I didn't know I needed. So these were the giant cookies that were sitting behind the guy's house, and one day I'm going to build the most incredible floating table and chairs out of these, just not today. So those are bases for wine racks. So we make these big wine racks.
I saw it.
Yeah. Dusty, one of his creations. So he does some stuff inside the wood for me. He's really talented.
So what are these here?
So these are love seat or a chair.
The beginnings of.
Yeah, and so what would happen is you'd grab 2 of these this way, right? And then one of them for the back, or 2 of them for the back, and then you put them together. But to make the ease of making the furniture and making a lot of the furniture, it's like you make them all the same size, and then you just make the one thing, and then that one thing makes up the love seat, or that one thing makes up a chair. And so it makes production go a lot faster.
What do I like about it? It's nice just to come down here and be able to work and do my own thing. You know, Jerry supplies us with what we need, and it's fun. It's fun to make something out of wood and to see the finished product of it.
You had no experience with woodworking before?
No. Nope.
Now you do.
Yes.
When all things are equal, you want to go into business with your friends and people you trust. And I've known this guy for 40 years, and even though every bit of trouble I've ever gotten into in my life was caused primarily by Russell, that's true, by the way, you know, I trust him more than I, trust anybody else. And so it's nice when I'm going back and forth to know that there's somebody here that not only gets what I'm doing, gets me, but I trust them, So that's probably at the end of the day.
Are you wanting high-speed internet but don't have access to PUD fiber? Try Sky-Fi high-speed wireless internet from LocalTel. Call 888-8888 today.
The next stop of the tour takes us to Park City, Utah, where Jerry Agee tells us his story and reasons for traveling the world and coming home.
And here we are.
And this gallery has been here how
long? Hundreds of days.
long? Not very long.
Yeah, not very long. We just opened up this year.
So I want to talk first about, this isn't your first time in Park City. This
Nope.
is kind of like coming home. So
Yeah.
how long has it been since you lived here, and when did you discover it?
Discovered it back in 2003. I had a business, and we came here to make their business better. So we just fell in love with it, and it was a place that we wanted to get out of Los Angeles, get a little more room around us, but also have a place that our friends would actually come and visit. And it fit all those bills. And so we moved here in '04, and
Were you and Kelly married then?
We got married in '01. So we've been.
Tell me about her and how you met.
So she came down the stairs, and I was standing by the wine bar, drink bar, and I said something super clever when she walked up, like, "Hey, can I get you a drink?" And we talked a little bit because we had a few mutual friends, and I would ask her friends about her, and they would all say the same thing. They'd be like, "Oh, Kelly, she's amazing," and then they'd walk away. And I'd ask another one, same response, and I'm like, am I getting pumped here? You know? And so finally, we were at another party together, and I asked her out, and she agreed.
What was it about her that made you want to ask her out?
Man,
because you're a picky guy.
I'm a very, picky guy, and I wasn't looking. I had a pretty full life. I loved my life. I loved my friends. I loved everything I was doing. And when, you're never ready. You're never ready for that person to show up. But when that person shows up, you better be ready. Everyone Kel ever met was her best friend because they would just spill the beans. They felt super comfortable around her, and she was very easy. She was an incredible listener, problem solver, And so I think that's what it was. It didn't hurt that she's super beautiful. That didn't hurt. And spontaneous and loved adventure and all of those things. So I was immediately super attracted to all of that. She's so smart, and just like, oh man. So we finally picked a time, picked a date, all of those things for a date. And I said, I got to bring my A game because this girl is special. And so I took her on what we called later the Magical Mystery Hot Toddy Tour. And I had planned it where I picked her up and I'm driving through the Hollywood Hills down in Mulholland way too fast. And she's like, "Are we in a rush?" And I'm like,
what a surprise.
"I don't drive fast, Lisa." And I said, no, we're not in a rush. Why would you say that? And what I was trying to do was beat the sun because I was losing that HMI in the sky. And I had picked a place that you could see the ocean from the mountains, and that way was the valley and everything, and it was so beautiful. And that was stop one. And then there was multiple stops. We played video games. We snuck up to the top of a hotel that was a lockout. We had all these fun things. And it was a perfect date. And it ended with an amazing kiss that I felt like I was 16 again, right? And kind of skipped my way back to the car. And from there, we did it right. We had this really full life, as you said, and traveled all over the world, and we, did well with our investments and enabled us to do all those things. And the last piece of that puzzle was, are we going to have a child or not? We were fortunate enough to get pregnant, had Dashiell, Mr. And about 9 months in, after he was born, Kel noticed that, she thought she'd gone in, they said it's probably a clawed duck, and just keep an eye on it. And so it didn't go away, and so...
a lump in her breast.
A lump in her breast, yeah. And this was about eight months in, and then we went in and they did a biopsy, and it came back that, she had cancer in her left breast, and so that day, by the way, it's Halloween. This is Halloween. And so most people would be absolutely devastated. And so what Kel did was she went home with this news and dressed up as Cruella de Vil, painted the dog with spots, and put Dashiell in his Dalmatian outfit. And we went up to Main Street and trick-or-treated. From there, life was very different. We had to decide what we were going to do, how we were going to do it, and guys are dumb. Throw rocks at them. So you know, I put in my 2 cents about what we should do and how we should do it, and she looked at me and said, yeah, this is my life, my body, I'll do what I want, and I just expect your support. And I go, there's no book on this. And I said, you have my you know, with anything you decide, you always have my love and support. And so she did, and I don't know, for people watching this that have gone through a situation that family members, loved ones, friends, all of that, that get cancer, my only advice ever is just be there unconditionally. Whatever they decide, just be there for them, because you're gonna miss the good stuff. You're gonna miss the most important part, especially if someone doesn't make it. And so I'm so glad that I didn't like hunker down on what I thought we should do, you know. I just like loved her. And luckily for us, we had 10 years where we truly lived. Like I don't have regrets of that time. And I would much rather have that short amount of time and truly live with someone than spread that out over 4 decades or 5 decades and just have this mediocre existence.
It's hard to show up for that every day.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
But in the end, if you did all you could, then that's a whole different process of letting go, I think.
Yeah. Well, and like, I'd say it was probably 3 days before she passed away. And I remember her, it's just so vivid. She said, you're going to be fine. And I said, just because I can change a diaper and make a meal doesn't mean I'm going to be fine. I said, Dashiell will be awful at Scrabble if you go. And 3 days later, she was gone. So the most important part of losing someone is they can't finish up everything that they wanted to do in their life, for the most part, most people. And so as someone who loves someone unconditionally, and definitely if it's your partner, is the next 6 months is finishing out their lives. Could be longer, could be shorter. And so for me, it was that time period was checking in on all the people that loved her, cared about her, needed that extra support. Because for me, I have the best parts. You know, I have the fact that, hold on one sec, I've got something in my eye. You know, I got Mister. So I get to see her every day in him. And I get all of the best memories. All the intimate times, all the really special times, those are all mine. So one of the things that when Kel was sick, you know, we talked about it, and I said, I'll spread your ashes everywhere you loved in the world. Check somebody's passport before you make that promise.
For the next several months, Jerry and his son traveled the world, spreading Kelly's ashes every place she had loved. Of all the places Jerry visited, Costa Rica felt like home. He'd found a place where he could heal. This is where he planted roots, raising his son and having a daughter. When we come back, you'll take a tour of his gallery, and you'll meet his beautiful family.
Hop on. Here, hop on.
Where's Dashiell?
Oh, he's right there. There he is. Oh, you got it? Live the dream.
Bye.
Stay up to date with what's happening in North Central Washington. Go to the NCW Life Community Calendar at ncwlife.com.
So we're in your gallery here in downtown Park City. That's where all those cars you might have heard are coming by. Dang buses. But let's show, you know, you visited your warehouse, like I said, so we saw all the wood. Let's show people around.
Yeah, so this artist is Henry Villalobos, and he is from Costa Rica, and he's an incredible artist. He makes these gorgeous statues, and he has captured the femininity better than anyone I've ever seen in this medium. He's just a master of wood and statues, and the feminine woman, and the strong, powerful. It's my friend Ursula. I went to high school with her brother, and she's from Redding, California, and her stuff is incredible. Lines of walls. She does this really amazing copper repose and selenite infused paint, and I just don't see it a lot, and I just love what she does.
Let's look at the tables.
So here's the table. So this is most of the wood in here is Guanacaste. We have about 9 species, and these are big trees, and they are beautiful. And one of the things I love about Guanacaste is it doesn't matter if this tree grew right next to this tree in a forest, the insides of them can be absolutely different. You know, the color of the heartwood can go from a very tan, light brown to almost a reddish, dark purple, and it's just beautiful, and I love it. And then we have some Panama wood that we get from underneath the lakes. This dragonwood desk over here is pretty fun. All my and then we have Anna Lee Moore. She's a local artist that started doing art on some of the Guanacaste and different woods we have, and then she puts color to it. And so it's just fun to integrate her, natural talent with painting the mountains and the desert and the streams and everything on this beautiful wood. And then we have my favorite piece over here because it holds my wine, and you can never have too much wine in the gallery at any one time. You never know
there's
when
metal here.
you never know when a spontaneous jammy jam party will start, and so you have to have all the goods and services to offer your jammy jam participants.
That would be me.
That would be you.
No hands. No feet. One hand.
What did you like most about Costa Rica?
Probably the waves.
You surf?
Yeah.
What age did you start surfing?
5, I think. 4 or 5.
And how old are you now?
9.
Wow. How good do you think you are? Like, how has your skill level improved over the years?
I think I'm white and beginner green.
Can you explain what that is? Because I have no clue.
White is the water, the foamy water, and then the green is when the ocean looks, well, green.
Got it.
I'm going to be an example or a warning for my kids. And so for me, it's way better to be an example. Yeah, it teaches them that, find what you love, find what you're passionate about, and it doesn't have to be one thing. You can be passionate about a whole lot of things and do a whole lot of things in your life, or just one. But whatever you do, don't be miserable doing it. Find something that you love that can keep the lights on and keep you happy, and it's not work. You can do it forever.
Are you ready? All right, here we go.
Have a fun video you'd like to see featured on NCW Life? Email us at newsphotos@ncwlife.com.